Thanksgiving night had always been a sacred tradition for our family, a time when everyone gathered around the table, shared stories, and celebrated what mattered most. But this year was different. I stood just outside the front door, the crisp autumn air chilling my skin, while inside, laughter and warmth spilled from the windows. I could hear the clinking of glasses, the murmur of familiar voices, even Susan's unmistakable laugh. The sister whose college tuition I had quietly paid for every semester, the sister I had supported through every late night and crisis, was now inside celebrating, without me. The truth hit me like a jolt of electricity. I wasn't invited. Not because of some accident or oversight, but because of who I am. Just an electrician, they called me behind my back. Working class job, beneath their notice. A source of embarrassment for Susan, who had worked so hard to climb what they considered a better social ladder. The sister I'd sacrificed for had chosen to cut me out, to erase my presence from the holiday that was supposed to bind us together. Standing there in the dark, a storm of emotions surged through me, hurt, anger, confusion, but beneath it all was a quiet resolve. They didn't see what I saw, the years of hard work, the late nights rewiring houses, the steady hands that built more than circuits. They only saw a label. But I knew the truth. I was more than their assumptions. And if they thought they could diminish me, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. For years, I kept my support for Susan a secret. I didn't want praise or recognition, just to see her succeed. Every paycheck I earned as an electrician, I tucked away a portion to cover her tuition, books, and living expenses. I was proud of her, proud that she was chasing a dream I never had the chance to pursue. But when Susan found out I planned to come to Thanksgiving, everything changed. Instead of gratitude, I was met with coldness and shame. I overheard her telling Mom, "I can't have her there. It's embarrassing. She's just an electrician. People will judge." Those words cut deeper than any insult. The sister I loved, the one I sacrificed for, had reduced me to a stereotype, and she wanted me erased from her life. That night, sitting alone in my small apartment, I replayed every moment. How had my kindness been met with such cruelty? How had my quiet sacrifices become a source of humiliation? I wasn't just hurt, I felt betrayed. But beneath the sting, a spark ignited. If they saw me as less, I'd show them exactly what they were missing. Most people see an electrician as just someone who fixes wiring or flips breakers, but that's only the surface. What they don't see is the problem-solving mindset it takes to work with complex systems, to remain calm when a house goes dark or a dangerous fault threatens safety. I've spent years mastering not just the technical skills, but the discipline, patience, and resilience that come with the job. When the family dismissed me as just an electrician, they overlooked the strength beneath the surface, the ability to stay steady when everything feels chaotic, to think strategically under pressure, and to build something lasting from scratch. Every house I wired, every panel I repaired, every unexpected challenge I overcame quietly honed a skill set few recognize: silent competence. This was more than a job, it was training ground for the fight I was about to face. I had learned to work behind the scenes, to keep moving even when no one noticed, and to solve problems without fanfare. Susan might have seen me as working class, but I knew my own worth, and it wasn't tied to their narrow view. I also had something else. They didn't: patience. While they sought quick approval and status, I was willing to work steadily, day by day, building my future brick by brick. The very thing they dismissed was my greatest advantage. I was ready to take control, not with anger or rashness, but with a clear mind and a plan. Stopping the money was never my first choice, but after being shut out of Thanksgiving, and humiliated for the job I worked so hard at, I had to draw a line. The moment I stopped funding Susan's tuition, the cracks started showing. Bills went unpaid, calls went unanswered. Susan's carefully maintained image of success began to crumble as financial pressures mounted. What started as a personal family rift quickly spread to affect everyone around us. Relatives whispered behind closed doors, taking sides, questioning my decision. Some accused me of cruelty. Others silently admired my courage. The tension wasn't just about money anymore, it was about respect, pride, and what it means to stand up for yourself. Susan, who had always been the golden child, was suddenly vulnerable. Her world, built on the support I'd quietly provided, was shaking. And the more she struggled, the more I realized this conflict wasn't just about us, it was exposing deeper fractures in our family's values and the illusions they all clung to. Instead of letting bitterness consume me, I channeled my energy into building something for myself. I took the savings I'd set aside, combined it with a small loan, and launched my own electrical contracting business. It wasn't easy, long hours, lean paychecks, and the constant pressure of proving myself in a field dominated by bigger companies. But every wire I connected, every satisfied customer, was a step toward independence. I learned to market my services, manage clients, and navigate the business world, all skills I never expected to master. Slowly, I built a reputation not just for my technical skills, but for my integrity and professionalism. What my family didn't realize was that by pushing me away, they'd forced me to discover my own power. I wasn't just an electrician or a family backup plan, I was a business owner with vision, grit, and the patience to see it through. At the same time, I set clear boundaries. No more silent sacrifices. No more being taken for granted. I let the family know that respect and honesty were the only reasons I'd continue any kind of support, on my terms. It was a risky move, but I was done hiding who I was. The next family gathering was tense. The room crackled with the same energy as before, but this time, I wasn't standing outside. I walked through the door with my head held high. Susan caught my eye, hesitation and regret flickering across her face. She pulled me aside, voice barely above a whisper. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I was embarrassed, and I didn't see what you were doing for me, or who you really are." I looked at her calmly, feeling years of pain and pride mix in that moment. "Susan, it's not about embarrassment. It's about respect. I helped you because I wanted to, not because you owed me. From now on, if we're going to be family, it has to be on honest terms. No more hiding. No more shame." The room fell silent as others listened. The power dynamic had shifted. I was no longer the quiet supporter, they saw me as someone who set boundaries and demanded respect. Susan's arrogance, her need to control the narrative, had become her undoing. That night marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for me, but for all of us. Months later, my electrical business was thriving, clients trusted me, and I'd built a small but loyal team. The family who once dismissed me as just an electrician began to see me differently. Invitations to family events no longer came with whispered judgments or exclusion. Susan, humbled by the financial struggles she faced without my support, started to respect not just what I did but who I was. She even began helping me with marketing efforts for the business, a sign of her genuine change. At this year's Thanksgiving, I sat at the head of the table. Not because I demanded it, but because my success and self-respect earned it. The same family who once saw me as beneath them now looked at me with a new kind of respect, one born not from status, but from resilience, intelligence, and quiet strength. And the biggest surprise, I found that by standing up for myself, I didn't just change their view of me, I changed how I saw myself. I was never just an electrician. I was a woman who built her own future on her own terms, and no one could take that away.